Hello and welcome back to Kenny the Sports Guys Podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Sabura, and today we have a returning guest. Deb Whitcas is a two-time Emmy award-winning TV producer who has worked in unscripted programming for over 2 decades. She began her entertainment career in front of the camera at age 12 in her hometown of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and since has produced highly rated national/international primetime and daytime shows for ABC, CBS, CNBC, Fox, MGM, CW, Universal/NBC, HGTV, We, Style/E Entertainment, and MTV Networks. She is also a sports journalist with her podcast, the Blonde Blitz Podcast, a sports podcast now available on streaming. Please welcome to the show, Deb Whitcas. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Hi, of course, Kenny. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, definitely. That was actually a wow. That was a long-winded introduction. I was doing your research on you,
I've
and I
done a
think
lot, apparently. It's
yeah,
cool to
you
hear it all.
yeah you
I
done a
forget
lot.
what I've done, you know?
So the first question I have is, as I previously alluded to, you have the Blonde Bliss podcast currently streaming right now on all streaming platforms. How did
Yes.
that podcast get started?
You know what? It started last year. This is the second season of the podcast. The peeps at that sports podcast network reached out to me, and Nikki just as well. And we decided to partner up for the Blonde Blitz, and we did season one together. Unfortunately, Nikki decided to move on this season, so I took over the podcast myself
Mm-hmm.
and kind of revamped it and turned it into more of a I want to say an NFL variety type show.
Oh, it
So
definitely is.
yeah, like I kind of equate it to a blitz. Have
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of NFL stuff coming at you. You know what I mean? And all different subjects. So I partnered with the off the field. It's the NFL Wives organization, and they're now like what every week I have a different co-host, and I get to interview them, and their stories are amazing. Also have former NFL players as well as current sports reporters, content creators, podcast creators on as well for hot takes. HGTV designer Shay Holland comes on a lot to talk
Mm-hmm.
about design within the NFL world. She has a lot of NFL clients, some comedy, doing a few different creative things. I'm kind of the creative juices are flowing, so I'm starting to produce a few different more segments. I'm gonna have some other design stuff, some tailgating segments, and then also, of course, sports betting, fantasy, and then of course we do picks because what would a show
Yeah,
be without picks?
obviously.
Right? So it's been fun. It's been a lot. It's a lot of hard work, and I have some great people backing me, and I'm super blessed. And yeah, some really exciting things coming up for the Blonde Blitz.
Now you mentioned NFL wives.
Mhm.
What players wives have you had on the show?
I've had Cynthia Zordish on the show. Also, who else? Asia Richardson, her husband Barry Richardson was on. Played for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I've had KGB's wife from the Green Bay Packers
Oh,
was
nice.
on last week. So if you missed that super powerful podcast episode, she talks about it actually was all about prayer, to be honest. I had AC Caswell, who played for the Raiders, on as well for hot takes, and he actually sends me a Bible quote every single morning. I wake
Oh,
up and
wow.
there's a Bible quote from AC. So he's one of my dear friends. So that kind of segued into prayer with Aline Noise is her name. And she had just come back from, it was called the Pro Player Prayer Project.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool. Darren Gray put it on, and it was in Tennessee, and they just prayed for all of the NFL players, which I loved. I thought so that's why I wanted to have her on the show. And, we showed a few pictures from the event as well. I just think there's been so many injuries this year, on the field, and it's prayer is always a great thing. So I thought that was important to include in the show. And also too, her husband got involved in she called it a toxic religious teaching, which
That's
I
interesting.
yeah, I would call a cult, but
That was the
so we
first word
all
I had in mind, actually, but
yeah, but so we discussed that as well as her books. She's got a podcast. She's a super mom of eight, super, super, super hardworking woman. So I like to showcase, like I said, everything about the NFL, but also the hardworking women in sports.
yeah, definitely. It's funny that you mentioned that because before we got online here, uh, I talked to MJ Acosta Ruiz, and
Love.
he's like the pinnacle of
Ah,
sports reporting today. I mean,
she's
I had her on the
amazing.
guest like a month ago, and
Yes.
it was like a fantastic conversation that we had, especially as a person of color. I'm a Latino,
Hmm.
and it's nice to see like his other Latinas and Latinos up there in the sports reporting industry. And I
Absolutely.
personally think that's incredible, actually.
Yeah, I love MJ Acosta. I've met her a few times actually, and it's funny we were talking about off the field Wives Association, NFL Wives Association. She actually was the lead reporter on last year's Super Bowl the pink carpet we called it, or they called
Yeah.
it, or the fashion show. So she was the lead. I was also on the red carpet. She actually had to leave a little bit early because she was super super busy during Super Bowl, and she had another commitment. So I actually got to take her place on the red carpet. So that was cool. And I got to interview Tim Brown, Hall of Fame. I got to interview some of the Hall of Famers, so that was cool to be there. But she's so amazing, and she's the nicest woman ever, and she's so unbelievably talented. And I love the fact now that she's working by coastal. I don't know if you guys know how hard that is, but
Yeah, she's on the West Coast, and then now she's on the East Coast in
East
Bristol with
Coast
ESPN. That's
too.
crazy.
It's working with ESPN, still working with NFL media. Like she can do it all, and yeah, she's an inspiration to me as well. So
Yeah, definitely. Like, bless her. So the next question I have is, what was behind the name for your podcast?
the Blonde Blitz.
Yeah, the Blonde Blitz.
You know what? It's funny because it was kind of a collaboration of people's ideas. I had always had a dream to have a podcast called Beer Babes and Blitzes. I know it's a weird, but I was like, we'll get a bunch of pretty women together who know football, and we'll just kind of jam out, and we can have beer sponsors, and that was kind of my idea. And I mentioned that, and then I believe Jason, who's the owner of that sports podcast network, and Nikki and a few other people we all got together, and then we just came up with the name, the Blonde Blitz, and when it was said to me, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in love." So, so yeah, that's kind of how the name came to be.
Yeah,
But I think yeah.
no, sorry. Actually, the name works because basically, in the first iteration of your podcast, you guys are basically blondes.
Right. Well, and now exactly, no, completely. And now that it's just me, I kind of see it as like obviously I'm blonde still. And with
Yeah,
the
exactly.
blitz, it's like a blitz of NFL information coming at you with different creative ideas, like I said, with the different segments, and it's just an hour of NFL information between news and betting and fantasy and design and comedy, and I can just keep going. So
All right, switching gears from podcasting to the NFL. So it's a not a well-known secret that you are a huge Eagles fan.
yes.
How do you love when the Eagles got started?
What, say that again?
How did you love when the Eagles get started?
Oh, so I'm from Philadelphia originally.
Hmm.
So I was just born into being an Eagles fan, to be honest. My nana was a huge Eagles fan to the point where when she passed away, her entire casket was Eagles footballs, Eagles jerseys. We had it was covered in green. Um, and then I used to watch the games with my dad. So my dad actually played minors for the Phillies. So I grew up loving baseball. I played softball myself. My dad would be out there throwing the softball with me. I was pretty good growing up. But then and he was a big Eagles fan as well. And yeah, I watched the games with my dad, learned. about the game from my dad, and that's kind of how my love blossomed from, for football. So,
Who is your favorite Eagles player of all time?
I mean, I have to say I'm so proud of Brandon Graham. He
Hmm.
just made history with his 200th game. I mean, that's franchise history was made. I love Brandon. I know his family. I met his dad actually at Super Bowl in Minnesota. We were both having cocktails at the same bar. So we've stayed in touch. I've been in their family suite before. We've met at other games. It's been super fun. But I mean, I'm obviously proud of Brandon, and he's a lovely human being. Great, obviously great football player, great husband, great dad to his two kids, and just a great family man. But that also too, I mean, I guess like I love McNabb because you have to. I love Cunningham because you have to.
Of course.
um, Jason Kelsey has definitely made his mark. I mean, those are some of Brent Selleck, I really liked a lot. Who else? God, there's so many people, so many amazing players that have gone through the Eagles organization. But yeah, those are just some of my favorites.
Yeah, for me, like I'm not an Eagles fan, I'm a Jets fan, but I've been
Right.
watching the Eagles for close to like a decade now, and they had some pretty good teams over the years, but
Yeah.
my favorite player has to be like Brian Westbrook. The
Okay, I
back
agree
then,
with that. He's great too. I've met him too. He's great. I actually I don't fangirl a lot, but I have met McNabb and I fangirled hard. And then I met Brian Westbrook and we were going to a party together, and not together, but he was in back of me. We were in line together, I should say. And I turned around and I saw Brian and I go, I need a picture. And he like laughed and took a picture with me. But we were going to Jaws's Cigars with Stars party at Super Bowl and he was behind me. So
That's
he
so
said
awesome.
his name like I was supposed to face like I was facing the woman who was like taking my information.
Mhm.
And what's your name? And he goes, Brian Westbrook. And I go, and I turn around. So it was funny. But yeah,
It
no,
must
he's a
have been like a
great
starstruck
player.
moment for you.
It was because I just heard his voice. I didn't see his face because he was behind me. And then like I turned around and I go, hi. Sure. Completely fangirled. But
That's
and
a
then it was funny because later on at the party, he was standing with someone who knew me also in the Eagles organization. And she screamed my name, and I was like, "Hi, Tracy." And I walked up, and he goes, "Hey!" Like he didn't know who, you know what I mean, that I was even involved in sports at all. You know what I mean? He just thought I was somebody, and it was really funny because he kind of like gave me a look, like, "Hey, wait a minute! Like I saw you outside." So it was
And
pretty funny.
I actually had a similar story to that. So a few years ago, I went to the red carpet of man, I can't remember the movie's name honestly. So it was in New York City, the SVA theater, and the only thing I remember from that premiere was I think Olivia Munn was actually in that movie. I can't remember for some reason.
Okay.
So during that time, she was dating Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
I was on the red carpet, and all of a sudden I see this big dude that's coming down the red carpet coming at me. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, why is this big guy coming at me? And then Aaron Rodgers, it turned out to be Aaron Rodgers, and
Okay.
the guy just shook my hand and was like, hey, how you doing? And then I asked for a photo, and then he was
Mhm.
like, you know what, I gotta go back inside, but he just tapped me on the shoulder and he just left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like
That's
it
what
was
it
kind
is.
of
You have
crazy
the
because
memory.
yeah, it was kind of crazy because a few years later he is a New York Jet now, and that's the same.
Right.
Yeah, it's
How
crazy.
did you feel? I mean, it's been a bit now, but how did you feel about when that happened?
Yeah, I was like maybe around maybe 20 25 at the time, and I was like, wow, I just met Aaron Rodgers randomly.
Right. That's
Yeah,
cool.
so he's like one of my dream guests actually for the podcast, but he's too busy doing Pat McAfee podcast right now. So
Right. Yeah. And playing football.
yeah, playing football too.
He they all kind of
Football,
need to
football.
focus a little bit right now.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the Jets now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
I'm excited to see Devontae Adams as a
Yeah, I
Jag.
do. I
Yeah,
do want to
we'll
see
say
him.
that.
I do want to see him.
I think the
So
connection will still be there. Anyway,
yeah. So what are your thoughts on the Eagles season this season?
it's tough. It's been it's tough being an Eagles fan at the moment.
I mean,
They
they are
just
leading the division somewhat.
I mean, obviously they have a winning record.
Yeah.
They're winning, but they're definitely not the team of the past. I think I'm not. I liked Kellen Moore at the Chargers. I just don't think I don't know. I'm second guessing him with the Eagles. I was very excited that him and Vic Fangio were there. I just don't think the play calling has been really that good, you know? I think it just thank God for AJ Brown and thank God for Saquon Barkley and Devontae Smith. I think they're playing amazing. I think it's good they're back. It's thank God they're back. Thank God Lane Johnson's back. Uh, but I mean, they they beat the Browns, but like I could beat the Browns.
Yeah, anybody could be the Browns these days.
Like, come on. So I'm worried. I just don't think they're just not clicking. I don't know the problem. Obviously, Sirianni is having a kind of not, I wouldn't say a meltdown on the sidelines, but he apparently him and the fans had some words. And granted,
Yeah.
the fans were heckling them. That's what Philly fans do. And the pressure's on. The pressure's on.
I think the Eagles right now, there's something is off with them. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
what. Like, it's some reason it's not clicking. Jalen Hurts is not really playing up to his potential.
Nope. I
Defense
agree with that.
is, yeah. The defense
And
is,
towards
yeah, the
good.
defense is like being subpar right now.
I agree with that too. And I was
Oh,
hoping that Vic Fangio could light, a fire under everyone's butt.
yeah.
But they had one good game that, that the defense really shined the way I think they can shine. But
Mhm.
this last game just bothered me. And then for the offense, like Jalen Hurts, one of the last throws of the game, like why did they throw that ball? They should run the ball. Like everyone's just saying, just run the ball. You're taking chances. You're trying to be like, throw these bombs down the field and you don't need to. They're trying to show off. And I don't know if it's the play calling, if Jalen's just reading and seeing what he can do on the field. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully they keep winning.
it's just odd. Like, I don't know what it is, but let's hope they get it together though, because
Mhm. They have
they're
to because there's so many teams that have it together. I mean, the Ravens are, I believe, on a warpath. So are the Lions. KC, never second guess KC. I mean, and even the Vikings are 5-0.
yeah,
Like,
5-0.
and so is Kansas City. So yeah, the other teams are together, and the Eagles have the potential. It's there. They have so much talent. It's just not clicking right now.
You
So
think they
hopefully
win
it does.
you think they win the AFC East? I mean, and
The
NFC?
NFC East,
Yeah.
you know what? I don't think, no, I don't think so. I know it's wild for me to say that. The Commanders are looking really good. I
Yeah, they
love
came out of
Jaden
nowhere.
Daniels. I love just some Jaden Daniels. I love Terry McLaurin. I think he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I think honestly, him, AJ Brown are of the best wide receivers. So yeah, I mean, the Commanders might take it.
I don't know. I think the Commanders are young, but I still think the Eagles somehow, somewhere is gonna win the NFC East. I don't,
They can. I mean, they
yeah,
might.
somehow,
They
somewhere.
have. They should. They
They
absolutely should.
should, yeah. On paper,
They
yes.
absolutely should. Are they
Yeah.
going to? We'll see. I just don't have that faith in them that I've had in the past. So,
Well, at least like you have more faith in the Eagles than in the Cowboys. The Cowboys right now
oh,
are doing
I always
terrible.
do. Dak, Dak Prescott just now that he's gotten paid. I mean, he's just always kind of been a mediocre quarterback to me, to be honest.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he always messes up in the postseason, and that's just the way it goes. So yeah, no, I mean, I think Parsons great, but yeah, I just don't think Dallas is. I think the big talk coming out of Dallas now is the Dallas cheerleaders, to be honest. Like they've hit it big on the net with the Netflix show. I enjoyed it. So
Yeah, I actually saw it. It's actually pretty good.
yeah, it was a good show. But yeah, no, I just don't think no, I think the Eagles are better than Dallas. And then we'll see. But yeah.
Yeah, well,
I
I
mean, and
told you.
obviously the Giants aren't gonna do anything. Like I
Yeah,
think Daniel Jones
the
has had his day and
yeah, it's just the Giants are terrible.
I think Neighbors, I believe, is coming back
Yeah,
this week.
he's playing this week. Yeah,
Yes, so that should help. I think he's good. But Dable's in trouble too.
yeah,
I
but
think Doug Peterson's going to be the next coach to get fired. Then maybe Dable and maybe Sirianni, to be honest. If it doesn't start looking up soon, I
yeah,
think he's on the
Sirianni, he's gonna be
chopping
the
block.
next to go. Actually,
You think so? I
yeah,
think
I think
Peterson will
so.
go before him.
I
But
would give it maybe until the end of the year because I think Philly fans are getting fed up with him right now.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter what the Philly fans think. Like they can balk and they can. I mean, I'm one of them, but like they can balk and they can heckle, and they're going to. They'll. It's just the way they. It's just the way they're passionate people. But I don't
Definitely.
think it really it matters what the what the owners and what Howie Roseman thinks, and yeah.
All
So
right. So the next question I have is: will the Eagles make it to the playoffs
yes,
as a wild card or a NFC champions?
I think is a wild card.
Okay, I mean I could agree with that. I think the Commanders have a chance of winning the NFC East. I mean, like you said earlier,
Hmm.
they have a good team down there. The defense is really good.
Hmm.
Jalen Daniels is actually going to win Rookie of the Year, and to me, I think he's the
Absolutely,
best quarterback out of the draft. This year's draft.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think Caleb is good, but I think Jaden was should have been the top pick.
If
So,
they would,
and
if
Bo Nix is looking pretty good too. He's
yeah,
bringing the Broncos.
he beat us like 3 weeks ago. So
Mm,
yeah.
yeah,
So switching gears, let's talk about the Los Angeles Chargers.
sure.
So, do you like the hiring of Jim Harbaugh?
I do. Like obviously everyone knows this. Jim Harbaugh loves the run game. I think that's probably what was missing
Mm-hmm.
in the Chargers last season. Obviously, Justin Herbert, he can throw some bombs down the field. He can also run, but he's known for his arm.
Yeah.
So I think the combination works. I think the Chargers have struggled a little bit, and Justin was hurt. But he seems back. He seems, rested and a little bit better. So I think they're gonna start winning more now. I think it's gonna take a little bit of time. I don't know if they're what they're, but like I think they're gonna have a winning season this season at least.
I would
I
say they will be like maybe at most 10-7. I think
Yeah,
10-7 would be a good like record.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but they're
I
not.
agree.
They obviously they're not.
I think they'll make the playoffs too. I don't know if they're going to go further than that,
Yeah,
but
I think obviously they're not going to win the division because the Chiefs are in the same division and they're
exactly.
they're, they're undefeated. Based
Not gonna
because
happen.
to me they're playing good football right now, the Kansas City Chiefs, but for the last 5 weeks they had some help from the referees based on
They
calls.
did. Yeah, and they're not quite the Kansas City Chiefs that we're used to. There's definitely some quirks, definitely mistakes, but they're still 5-0.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Yes. Yeah. So they also need a wide receiver too because
mhm.
Sidney Race is out for the year.
Yeah.
So they may target Mike Williams from the Jets. The Jets are
Hmm.
keen on just trading him away. So you see what happens with the Chiefs. Basically they're not gonna go undefeated, obviously. They're gonna lose at some point.
Yeah, at some
Yeah.
point they'll lose, but not
So
sure to who, but yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of like maybe candidates, maybe this Sunday against the 49ers.
I still think Kansas City's going to take it. The 49ers, it's true. I think I put 1 point I'm in my pick 'em. I think I put 1 point on that game.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
think
like,
so. I think the Niners might win actually because I think the Niners are slowly turning the season around after
yep,
all injuries and
so
just
many
a slow start.
injuries.
Yeah, mainly
I
injuries.
I agree. No, injuries have plagued. that have plagued the Chargers, have plagued the Rams, have plagued San Francisco, have plagued the Eagles. There's just been a ton of injuries, as I said in the beginning of the
Yeah,
show
yeah,
this
definitely.
season. So,
Yeah, it's
you know, I don't I could see this. I could see San Francisco completely taking the game too. So it's kind of a coin toss. They're both really good. Both have really good offenses and defenses. So yeah, it's just whoever plays a better game.
yeah, definitely. So the next question I have is Super Bowl picks. Who do you have going to the Super Bowl this year?
Uh, you know, and I think it's going to be a repeat. I think it's going to be Kansas City and San Francisco.
Really?
Hmm. The Ravens might get in there though too. And then also don't sleep on the Lions.
Yeah, I will not sleep on the Lions. So I think with me from the NFC side, I will have to say Detroit. I think
Hmm.
Detroit is just a well-rounded team, and I hate to say this, I really do for the AFC side, and I think it has to be the Chiefs because
Yeah.
I guess the Chiefs are playing very well. The defense is good. Patrick Mahomes is not having a MVP like season, but
And he's
somehow,
on my fantasy, so he should be.
yeah, he's on my fantasy too. So I've been getting wins with CJ Stroud on the bench. So
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
yeah, so it's just I feel like it's gonna be the Lions and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I think it
Okay.
will be a good Super Bowl matchup. I think the
I
Lions, I think it's gonna win maybe by 3 points in next
okay.
February. But
I would love that for for my Detroit fan like friends. I would love to see that. And also to just not yeah, like yeah, I think everyone's kind of getting tired of Kansas City winning and it would be a three-peat. It's a great story, but I think it would be great for Detroit to win too because it's been a while.
well, if you look at it, they're like this generation's New England Patriots from the early 2000s,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people hated that then, and a lot of people are gonna hate this now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
And the
also,
Patriots are rebuilding now.
yeah, and also they have too much Taylor Swift on their stadium.
I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due, though. That Taylor has brought her fans into football. There's a lot more women now who are following football, which I personally love. So,
Yeah, definitely. I actually like caught a glimpse of her at Yankee Stadium like 2 days ago.
okay.
Yeah, so she was there with Travis Kelce, of course, and yeah, it was a very interesting experience.
Yeah, I know it's like craziness. I feel like craziness just everywhere she goes, is
Yeah,
just people
definitely.
following her and fans and just that paparazzi life.
Well, that's the paparazzi life for you. So the last question I have is, where can people find you and your podcast?
Sure. So you guys can find me at Sport Report Deb on Instagram and Twitter. I think I'm on TikTok too, to be honest. And then also the Blonde Blitz is on that sports podcast network, also on YouTube, and all socials. It's at the Blonde Blitz. So that's where you can find me.
Definitely. Well, that's all the questions I have today. Thank you so much, Deb, for returning
Of
on the show.
course. Thank you for having me again. We should do it again.
Definitely. You can find this episode on CandaceSportsGuy.com, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and all streaming platforms. You can find me on X or Twitter at Kenny_sports, TikTok at Kenny Sports Podcast, and Instagram at Kenny Sports Guy 1. Until the next episode, keep it sporty.